Coming in number 10, the empty seat. Lisa Marie spent many of her days at Graceland as it was her home and heart of Elvis Presley. And she loved the mansion so much because it immortalized the rock and roll legend. Lisa made no secret of her love of the special property that she was reared in and still called home. The late star was lent on the mountain of memories from her childhood to keep the Presley family traditions alive, and that's why she still visited the luxury property regularly to do things Elvis and her used to do. After being open to the public in 1982 and becoming the second most visited private house in America, it became hard for so many to believe that the inner workings of the house still functioned, but Lisa Marie ran a tight ship after inheriting her father's estate. While the kitchen appliances were said to still work, they would be turned off for fire safety, and when Lisa Marie and her family were there, the staff would fire them up so the family could have dinner in the mansion. When the tours wrapped up, Lisa Marie and her loved ones could clamor around the huge dining table for family dinners, and they would occasionally leave an empty seat on the end in honor of Elvis. It was almost like she hoped her dad would walk in through the doors and take a seat at the table. But Lisa Marie's favorite excuse to get together was the Thanksgiving holiday, so she could be with her nearest and dearest father. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 9, the secret gift. When Elvis Presley passed away on August 16, 1977, the world was in shock. Elvis' daughter Lisa was in the next room when her father passed away. Just being 9 years old at the time, the future singer was perhaps more overwhelmed than anyone else. Knowing that she couldn't just send her father off in a coffin without something special from her, she decided to place a special gift inside his coffin. While thousands of fans queued up to pay their final respects to Elvis, just before the doors opened to the venue, Priscilla and Lisa Marie would be escorted to where her father was laying. While the king was styled to look his best, looking upon her father for the final time, Lisa Marie would make one special request. Funeral director Robert Kendall recalled that Lisa asked him if he could give her gift to her father. Robert recalls that she held up this thin metal bracelet and that he agreed once her and Priscilla ensured it would not fall into the wrong hands. With thousands of fans outside, they feared someone would see the loose bangle on Elvis's wrist and take it as a souvenir, so Priscilla and Robert placed it on Elvis's wrist and tucked it underneath his shirt cuff to ensure no one would be able to take this precious gift given to him by Lisa Marie. Coming in at number 8, we have the upstairs room. For millions of fans who flock each year to Elvis Presley's Graceland estate, the home has become a place where they can truly get close to the king of rock and roll. However, Graceland was also a private home for Lisa Marie and her extended family. This is why the upstairs rooms remained off limits to tours of the house, which began in 1983. Lisa Marie will also admit that the upstairs rooms has this creepy shrine to a bygone era when her father was still alive. While all the rooms remained the same as Elvis had left them, Lisa would show off the upstairs rooms, including Graceland's secret room that holds a treasure trove of items. And the location of this exact room still remains a secret to the public. Behind the door that's marked employees only lies a room that no Graceland guest can visit. While the room is so secret, when Oprah's camera crew was allowed to tour the estate, they would have to turn off the camera until they were inside so no one would know the exact location. Inside the room lies treasures that have never been seen by the public. The room was made to be earthquake-proof, fire-proof, and tornado-proof. Items in the room include checks signed by the king of rock and roll, a majority of Elvis's costumes, and cabinets that house over 60,000 photographs. Number 7. Struggles. Nearly 5 months after her passing, Lisa Marie Presley shared an essay she wrote about navigating grief following the heartbreaking passing of her son, Benjamin. Sources close to the star would exclusively tell the US Sun that the musician was leading a reclusive life and was struggling in the wake of her son's passing. Lisa struggled to find respite from the pain of losing Benjamin, and she found it really difficult to cope with, and this is why she barely left the house for months after his passing. While Lisa Marie looked for various ways to help her manage her feelings of grief and loss, she even started to go in and out of the Church of Scientology for many years as she was trying to find herself a new purpose. In spite of this, those close to her had concerns, and one insider even confessed that Lisa had been struggling so much over the years and living in her dad's shadow. Many who knew her feared that she would pass away at a young age. Lisa is said to have had a lot on her plate in the years and months ahead of her passing, and she was struggling personally with her family relationships and handling her exes. Number 6. Isolation. Due to Lisa Marie's personal struggles, she spent her final days on trying trek between Los Angeles and Graceland. A source close to the family echoed that by saying Presley, who lived most of her life in the limelight, had been living a reclusive life and had especially struggled since her 27-year-old son Benjamin passed away in 2020. In Lisa Marie's final years, she was racked with grief over Ben, as he was her baby and he relied on her so heavily. So after she found out that he had passed away, her whole world completely fell apart and she found it really difficult to cope with, so she spent most of her days in isolation. Despite her personal struggles, Lisa Marie always tried to keep in good spirits, at least when she did venture into the public. And her final speech at Graceland would prompt fans to erupt in applause. While Lisa would also address her grief in an essay for People, she would say, "Grief does not stop or go away in any sense, a year or years after the loss. Grief is something you have to carry with you for the rest of your life, in spite of what certain people or culture wants us to believe." Lisa was struggling and never wanted to admit it, but her heart had been shattered since losing her son, and the grief took a huge toll on her. Number 5. Priscilla Presley. Lisa Marie had mended her relationship with her mom Priscilla Presley after her son's devastating passing despite years of prior estrangement. It's said that Lisa Marie had a really rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her marriage to Michael Lockwood, but they became close again after Ben's passing, and Priscilla supported her as much as she could. During Lisa Marie's divorce with Lockwood, Priscilla chose to stand by him, which caused a lot of friction between the mother and daughter duo. During this time, Priscilla was only able to find comfort from her friends as the relationship between her and Lisa fell apart and she was at loss over what to do at the time. While Lisa filed for divorce in 2016 and claimed she found images of younger people on Michael's computer during the divorce after losing her husband and mother, Lisa would turn to substances to numb the pain. While Michael denied the allegations, it would lead to a messy court and custody battle, and while Lisa needed her mom the most, she knew that her mom was on her ex-husband's side and that she couldn't turn to her for help. With only Lisa knowing what was truly on that computer, she never really detailed the things she actually found on that computer to the public. Number 4, the alarming red carpet appearance. Extra host Billy Bush did the final Golden Globes red carpet review of Lisa Marie Presley and immediately realized that something was amiss. Just 2 days before her passing, Lisa Marie would walk the red carpet at the Golden Globes. She attended to support the Elvis biopic of her father. Since Bush has recalled his brief red carpet talk with an ashen and unsteady Lisa Marie by saying she was very uneven in her balance. The speech was very slow, and definitely when the interview was over, I turned to my producer next to me and said, "Something's off here." She was certainly with it, just a second slow, but she was there. She was definitely there, just a tad off in some way. For the interview, stars had to navigate 2 steps to the platform where he stood, but Presley was struggling to do so, so Bush went down and met the star on the red carpet itself. Also, there's been videos at the event that show her walking unsteadily and being escorted by her manager, who grabbed her arm to give her support. It's clear that something was going on with the star and she didn't want to talk about it. Number 3, the safe place. Much has been said about the secrets that lie within Elvis Presley's Graceland bedroom. The private sanctuary has remained off limits to the public since his passing. However, during an interview in 2013, Lisa Marie spilled secrets about the room, and she would say Elvis Presley's bedroom was one of the places she would feel the safest. It said that Lisa would always keep a key for the upstairs with her and go up there, and up there was just Elvis and her bedroom. While the rooms are said to be a sanctuary, she always felt like she could shut the door and feel the safest and calmest. This is why she kept the area the same as Elvis has left it. The area still having a lot of Elvis's flair for the flamboyant and reflected the decorating taste of the 1970s. The king of rock and roll, only child admitted, "Oh, it's showy. It's got a long shag carpet, a black bed, and red walls, gold, everything here and there." Number 2, the friendship with the Duchess of York. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, penned a touching tribute to Lisa Marie Presley after the singer passed away on Thursday, revealing their surprising friendship. Sarah would say, "I say hello to you every day, and I love you, my sissy, and I will continue to say hello to you every day. You were my sissy, an amazing mother to Ben, Riley, Harper, and Finley, and a superbly loving daughter to Priscilla. You have been my devoted friend for many years, and I am here for your family to support and love them. I am deeply saddened, my sissy. You are in my heart. A close friend to Prince Andrew's ex-wife told Page Six that the two women originally met when Lisa was living in Sussex, England with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood back in 2010. Apparently they hit it off straight away and that they just seemed to understand each other. Over the years the pair became quite close and kept in touch when Lisa moved back to the States. Lisa was always really supportive of the Duchess and when she was going through tough times, and Lisa even offered her refuge in Hawaii to weather out the storm. The Duchess was never able to forget that, and Lisa even went out of her way to support her friend, and that the two actually really bonded as sisters. And coming at number 1 today, we have The Secret Job. Although Lisa was a singer and songwriter that spent most of her life in her home country of America, the daughter of Elvis also called Sussex home for a while. While she also laddered herself a very different type of job when compared to her usual career, as she was actually working in a fish and chip van in the village despite owning a 15th century grade 2 listed country mansion. It appears that Lisa wanted to get stuck in with the village life and thought the best way she could do that was to serve the locals. The van was apparently owned by local pub owners Kim and Justin Scales, and it was a job that Lisa reportedly loved doing. Back in 2012, Kim would say that the singer could not wait to don an apron and serve people, and she found it really amusing when people did not know it was her. Although being the daughter of one of the most iconic singers in the world, Lisa wanted to be fully integrated in the life in Sussex Village, and she really enjoyed her shift. Coming in at number 10, The Childhood Message. Before Elvis Presley passed away, in an interview, the king would describe with glee how much of a terror Lisa Marie was. But what many didn't know is that she left behind a hidden graffiti message in a secret drawer. During a live virtual tour with Graceland archivist Angie Marchese, she would point out a secret drawer that was located in the corridor next to the kitchen on the way into the jungle room from the front door. In fact, it's right where fans walk during the regular in-person tour of Graceland. During the interview, Angie would open the drawer, and when it was open, you could see written inside was Lisa Marie's graffiti, which read, "Lisa's home, Graceland," with a smiley face. Also inside the drawer was a 1993 phone book, which seems quite random, but Elvis historian revealed it was owned by the king's aunt Delta May, who lived at Graceland until that very year. Interestingly, all kinds of items remained in the drawers at Graceland, just as they were left behind by those who were living in the mansion. For example, the plates and glasses are still kept in the kitchen cupboards, and is the china in the drawers in the dining room. Additionally, in a drawer in the music room, quite randomly features a samurai sword that was gifted to Elvis by a Japanese officer. Lisa Marie very much saw Graceland as her family home, and the china she used was kept in the drawers in her Aunt Delta's bedroom, which is connected to the kitchen, and it isn't on the tour. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? So don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 9 we have The Secret Grandchild. On Sunday at Lisa Marie's funeral service, Riley Keough's husband, Ben Smith Peterson, would reveal that the couple had welcomed a secret child last year. The stuntman announced the news while he was reading a letter on behalf of his wife at the memorial service. In the letter, Ben would say, "I hope I can love my daughter the way you love me, the way you love my brothers and my sisters. Thank you for giving me strength, my heart, my empathy, my courage, my sense of humor, my manners, my temper, my wildness, and my tendency. I'm the product of your heart, my sisters are the product of your heart, my brother is the product of your heart." Since the memorial service, a representative has confirmed the birth of Riley and Ben's daughter, and the couple's daughter is the first grandchild of Lisa Marie and the first great-grandchild of Elvis and Priscilla. While everyone was shocked to learn that the Presley family kept a child a secret, Riley's tribute to her mother would bring the whole room to tears as they remembered Lisa for her strength and love. Coming number 8, we have her connection with John Travolta. John Travolta and Lisa Marie Presley had known each other for decades, but before Travolta and Presley were friends, Lisa Marie was nothing more than a fan of the rising celebrity. After the passing of Lisa's father Elvis, Priscilla was looking to bring some joy into her daughter's life and used her Hollywood connections to arrange arrange a meeting between the two. However, before rumors started to begin that Travolta and Presley dated, when the two met, Presley was only 11 and Travolta was in his mid-20s. However, there was an apparent connection between Priscilla and Travolta, and it is said their connection apparently led to 3 to 4 secret dates that didn't go any further. However, it was during this time Travolta would speak to Priscilla about the Church of Scientology, as he has been a member since 1975, and extended an invitation to Priscilla to come and see what it was all about. Apparently, Priscilla found it to be very welcoming, and she joined in 1977, and as a result, Lisa Marie had no choice but to join the institution as well. Lisa Marie would then be placed into obedience therapy as a young child, as she was in a bad mental condition after she lost her father, and in her weak moment of great loss, John persuaded her to come in. Number 7, trauma. Before Lisa Marie passed away, she revealed that her last memory of discovering Elvis after he had passed away in the bathroom of his famous Memphis home on August 16, 1977. Lisa would confess that she didn't like to talk about it. In her confession, she would say it was 4 a.m. I was supposed to be asleep, but actually he found me. Lisa Marie was in her room with her mother Priscilla when Elvis arrived with them a couple minutes later and kissed her goodnight. This would be the last time she would see her father alive. Later, when she went to see her father, she would be attended by her friend Ginger, and discovering her father had passed away, Lisa Marie would be terrified, and she ran to the phone to call Elvis's ex-girlfriend, Linda Thompson, who was not at Graceland at the time. Lisa Marie would be left feeling traumatized, as she was her daddy's princess and she truly was loved by him. That was a huge trauma for her. Lisa empathetically acted out as a child, and then she would begin to take substances so she could forget the agony of losing her father. Number 6, overwhelming Priscilla. After Lisa Marie started to act out to numb the pain of losing her father, she began to overwhelm her mother Priscilla in the process. Priscilla would get exasperated with her because she was a rebellious kid, and Priscilla knew that she was not a kid who believed in rules and boundaries. Lisa Marie is said to have been a free spirit, as she would do what she wanted whenever she wanted, and this drove Priscilla nuts because she didn't want to see what happened to Elvis happen to her daughter. Priscilla felt like she was locked in a game of Mortal Kombat with her daughter, and the relationship was actually really hostile for the longest time. The two were just not aligned at all. There was no harmony. Their relationship of welfare was described as living in a war zone that would lead to Lisa Marie to do substances to get away from her misery, as she was feeling deep inside her. That's why it's being said that Priscilla is actually taking her daughter's passing really hard, as she still wasn't able to fully repair her relationship with her daughter before she passed away. Number 5, power imbalance. Seems like Lisa Marie and her mother Priscilla Presley could never see eye to eye because there was too much of a power imbalance when it came to the two. It said that Priscilla had all the power. She was the mom after all, and Lisa Marie couldn't run away after her father's passing, as she was only 9 years old. So the only way she felt like she could stand her ground was to fight back, be rude, and disrespectful to her mother. Lisa Marie felt like this was her only option to feel happiness, was to be combative. And the more Lisa Marie started to act out and misbehave, the more and more her mother got worried. Eventually, by the age of 13 years old, Lisa would start experimenting with substances, and the more Lisa started to fight back so she could be released by her mother's control, the more Priscilla would try her own methods of control. Eventually, Priscilla would have no other choice but to join the Church of Scientology, and she would kick Lisa Marie out and force her to attend courses that Lisa Marie did not want to attend. Number 4, obedience therapy. Lisa was only 11 years old when her mother Priscilla joined a cult-like religion which is known as Scientology. During her childhood years, she would be dropped off alone at the Scientology Center for hours of obedience therapy and purification rundowns. This would reportedly consist of hot sauna sessions, exercise, and taking vitamins. Lisa Marie had no choice but to attend the sessions, and it seemed anytime she would act up, she would be dropped off. The instructions from Priscilla to the church were to handle her and do whatever they wanted so her daughter would get back into line. Lisa had no choice, and she was forced into conversion therapy and obedience therapy sessions, as the church saw these as courses that were fit to her needs. This is something that should never be forced onto an 11-year-old, and yet Lisa Marie was forced to believe that something was wrong with her and she had to attend these courses. divorces. Number 3. Michael Lockwood. While Lisa Marie Presley was embroiled into a ferocious custody battle with her ex-husband, she would accuse him of having hundreds of illegal images of younger people on his computer. While many have stated that Lisa Marie falsely accused him of this crime, it really makes you wonder if these crimes were never true, then why would she divorce her ex-husband, and why would the police always stay quiet about the issue, as they never confirmed if he was guilty or not guilty? It just all seems a little fishy. In the court filing at the time of her divorce, Lisa Marie Presley would never detail exactly what she found at the time, but she would say she was very shocked, horrified, and it made her sick to her stomach. However, in the papers it would also be said that the Beverly Hills Police Department found 80 of Lockwood's devices during a raid on her home, and she added that the cops still had them and that they never been fully analyzed, and that she had no idea what else would be on those devices, but she was scared that there was more worse images and evidence on those unanalyzed devices. Number 2. 4 divorces. Sometimes it's hard to find love, and it's clear that Lisa Marie struggled with her whole life to truly find the one. In 2016, when news broke that Lisa Marie was ending her union with Michael Lockwood, unfortunately this would be her 4th failed marriage. In 2007, Lisa Marie would explain her marital woes to Marie Claire when she said her first union with Danny Keough failed because she was really young and Danny had resented her because of who she was. She would then add that her marriage became a power struggle because it was hard for a man to be with a woman who is stronger and wealthy, and that's why she ditched Danny for Michael Jackson. However, she would then recall this being the biggest mistake of her life. As her rocky marriage to Nicolas Cage, she would state that marrying him was a wild flurry and a crazy idea that came with being young. As complicated as it all sounds, Presley eventually disunion from Michael Lockwood was arguably the toughest following their 10 years together. The exes were locked in horns and one of the most bitter custody and spousal support fights Hollywood has ever seen. And coming in number 1 today, we have Cruel to Nannies. Shortly after Lisa Marie gave birth to her beautiful twin girls, she acquired the help of nanny Christine White. According to TMZ, they would detail that Christine sued Lisa Marie because she felt like she was being overworked without proper compensation. The suit claimed that Christine was tasked with caring for the babies around the clock, and she even worked 7 days a week and was not granted breaks. By the following year, Christine would drop her case against Lisa Marie, but not before Presley countersued. In the lawsuit, Presley claimed that White was fired after breaking her contract, and that she allegedly took over 165 unauthorized photos and videos of her children, which broke her confidentiality agreement. The case was ultimately dismissed, and although it's unclear if it was ever settled, Presley seemed to have the last word on the matter, as she claimed Christine's original lawsuit was born out of utter greed and revenge because Lisa Marie fired her.
At number 10, David Cassidy. Oftentimes we try our best to be open and honest with our struggles in life, but for some it's hard to share some of the things that you might not be too proud of. This is what caused actor David Cassidy to keep a pretty big secret from the public that wasn't actually revealed until after he passed away. Before he passed away, David shared with the public his struggles with dementia. Fans believed that the actor was suffering from the disease, and so when news broke of his death, people just assumed that it was the dementia that ultimately took him. But it wasn't until the documentary about the actor called David Cassidy, The Last Session, came out that the public learned the truth about David's health. It turned out that the actor was never actually diagnosed with dementia, and that this wasn't what was harming his health. Instead, it was alcohol poisoning that he was struggling with, and that ultimately took his life. In the documentary, the actor admitted to everything, saying, quote, "There is no sign of me having dementia at this stage in my life. It was complete alcohol poisoning, and the fact is, I lied about my drinking." End quote. One of the documentary's producers spoke out about having known about the actor's struggles before the public, where they said, quote, "We didn't want to exploit him, but ultimately he was honest about what killed him, and we decided that his legacy would be best served if we shared that." End quote. Before we carry on talking about some of the juiciest celebrity secrets, why not take a brief moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, why not subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 9, Rock Hudson. Imagine taking one of the biggest secrets about who you really are to your grave. That's essentially what happened with famed Hollywood actor Rock Hudson. Rock was one of the hottest leading males in Hollywood Hollywood in his heyday, but he lived with a huge secret for his whole life, and people didn't end up finding out about it until after his passing. When Rock passed away in 1985, it was revealed that he had died from AIDS. He became one of the first and most famous Hollywood celebrities to pass away from the illness. Because the illness was so heavily associated with being gay, speculation began to float around saying that Rock had been hiding his sexuality from the public this whole time. This all turned out to be 100% true, as friends and family of Rock confirmed what the public had been thinking in a biography on the actor. In the book, it was revealed that he had an ex-boyfriend named Lee Garlington, and he was described as Rock's true love. Rock's secret was really only known by his closest friends and family and an inner circle of Hollywood, and a lot of them fought to keep his sexuality a secret in order to preserve his career. I couldn't imagine how tough it would be to have to keep such a big part of who you are a secret from the world. At number 8, Gene Wilder. When someone is diagnosed with a serious illness, it becomes a very tough and very personal decision of whether or not to tell people about it. I know people who chose to keep their illness a secret until the end, and this is exactly what actor Gene Wilder did. Gene passed away in 2016, but it wasn't until after he died that the public learned about the secret that he was keeping in regards to his health. It turned out that the actor had been battling Alzheimer's for over 3 years before he passed away. After learning this, a lot of people wanted to know why this news was kept secret from the public, and the reason behind it is so touching. Gene didn't reveal his condition to the public because he wanted people to remember him as he was and not someone who was sick. He wanted to keep the smiles on the faces of his fans. In a statement released by Gene's family, they elaborated on the situation, saying, quote, "The decision to wait until this time to disclose his condition wasn't vanity, but more so that the countless young children that would smile or call out to him, 'There's Willy Wonka,' would not have to be then exposed to an adult referencing illness or trouble and causing delight to travel to worry, disappointment, or confusion. He simply couldn't bear the idea of one less smile in the world." End quote. At number 7, Corey Haim. Unfortunately, as much as there's glitz and glam in Hollywood, there's also a dark side, one of those dark sides being harming and manipulating others. This is sadly something that actor Corey Haim experienced as a child actor in Hollywood. Both he and his best friend Corey Feldman experienced the dark side of Hollywood, and though Feldman has been pretty outspoken about what he endured, Haim on the other hand kept that top secret. The one thing that he kept absolutely hidden was the identity of the person who seriously harmed him. Haim went to the grave knowing the identity of the person who harmed him, but this secret isn't completely lost, as it's alleged that Corey Feldman actually knows who did it. Feldman tried in the past to get his friend to expose the person who caused him so much pain, but Haim refused because he was so scared that this individual would try and hurt them again. Haim made Corey promise that he would share the story of what happened to them if he died, and Corey did share some details, but again, the identity of the person who hurt Corey Haim remains a secret. At number 6, Sally Ride. Up next, we have another celebrity who unfortunately didn't get to live their life as open as they should have been able to, as they went to the grave with a huge secret. Astronaut Sally Ride was the first American woman to go to space. She became widely known for her presence in the NASA community, promoting education and interest in space, and specifically devoted much of her life to helping girls excel in STEM. She did a lot for her community, especially women and young girls, but there was another community that she was a part of that no one really knew about until after she passed away. When Sally passed away in 2012, her title grew to not only be the first American woman to go to space, but also the first astronaut to be acknowledged as gay. Sally's sexuality was never public knowledge until her obituary named a woman named Tan O'Shaughnessy as her partner of 27 years. At number 5, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's personal life was often a hot topic in the media during her life. People were obsessed with what went on behind closed doors, the good and the bad. Though a lot of her personal life was exposed, one thing that remained a secret until her tragic passing was a horrible incident that she had endured when she was younger. After some digging and a published documentary, the world learned that Whitney was once a victim of inappropriate contact. After the singer passed away, her former assistant told the documentary team that Whitney had once confided in her to tell her about what she had endured when she was younger. The assistant told cameras, quote, "Whitney looked at me and said, 'Mary, I was harmed at a young age too, but it wasn't by a man, it was a woman. She had tears in her eyes. She says, Mommy doesn't know the things that we went through.'" End quote. Though she never spoke publicly about what happened to her, it is believed that Whitney once hinted at it in an interview when she got really emotional when talking about adults taking advantage of children. At number 4, George Michael. Imagine being portrayed negatively in the media for basically your whole career just for the narrative to make a 180 after your passing. This is the case with singer George Michael and how his public image changed after he passed away. During his career, George was seen as scandalous and the media really dug into this while he was alive, but after he passed away in 2016, the truth about who George Michael really was came out, and it was a very different narrative. He took the secret of his philanthropy to his grave, but many people wish that he was around to be appreciated for giving back to the people. The public came to learn that the singer made many large donations to a wide array of charities like cancer support groups and the Terrence Higgins Trust, which is an HIV awareness group. He kept all of his donations a secret and made sure that no one receiving these donations knew that he was behind it. He was a secret angel giving back to people without receiving any credit, which just shows that this help was genuine, not just for good press. At number 3, Prince. Another celebrity who was something of a secret angel of sorts was Prince. After he passed away in 2016, secrets about the singer started to come out, some of those secrets being about his philanthropy. One person, an environmentalist who worked for the Green Jobs Act, came forward to talk about one of the donations that they had once received anonymously from Prince, where they said that they received a check for $50,000. At first, they sent the check back because it was so out of the blue and they didn't really trust it, but to their surprise, the check came back again, this time with a phone call. The environmentalist then went on to say that the person on the phone said, quote, "I cannot tell you who the money is coming from, but his favorite color is purple." End quote. On top of this anonymous donation, Prince also co-founded an educational effort to help teach minority youths technology called #YesWeCode, and he also made a donation to the family of Trayvon Martin. Speaking out about Prince's philanthropy, his ex-wife said that he never wanted to make these donations public so as to not overshadow the charity or the case. At number 2, Anthony Perkins. Known for his role as Norman Bates in the Hitchcock film Psycho, actor Anthony Perkins lived a pretty quiet and private life, but he also took a very big secret to his grave. When news broke of his passing in 1992, it came as a sudden shock to people. But what the public didn't know at the time was that Anthony had been secretly battling a serious illness that he kept from the public. For 2 years before his passing, the actor had been secretly receiving treatment for AIDS. Speaking out about her husband's treatment, Anthony's wife told sources, quote, "He went twice to stay at a hospital and once as an outpatient, and we went under another name. You think that this man has spent his entire life giving people so much pleasure in show business, and this is his reward. He can't even be himself at the end." End quote. Anthony knew that when the public found out about his condition after his passing, there would be a lot of questions as to why he never publicly revealed his condition, and so before he died, he wrote a statement to be read once he passed on. In the statement, the actor wrote, quote, "I chose not to go public about having AIDS because, to misquote Casablanca, I'm not much at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of one old actor doesn't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world." End quote. And finally, at number 1, Billy Tipton. Billy Tipton was a famous jazz musician who kept a huge secret from everyone. This secret was so hush-hush that not even his closest friends or family knew. Billy had a pretty solid career in the beginning. The 40s and 50s were Billy's time to shine, rising to fame and taking American jazz by storm. Billy's career started to decline, however, after he declined an offer for a recording contract and to open for Liberace. After that, the musician started to fade out of the spotlight. Over the course of his life, Billy was married 5 times, adopted 3 kids, and was considered to be a real family man. But one day, when Billy suddenly collapsed, his secret was revealed. While paramedics were trying to save him, it was discovered that Billy wasn't biologically male. Like I mentioned before, no one knew. Literally no one, so this came as a shock to everyone. It turns out that Billy dressed as a man in order to be allowed into the world of jazz. Because of this huge secret, Billy was forced to live a pretty private life in order to avoid being caught.
And at number 10, Bob Saget. Legendary comedian Bob Saget passed away suddenly on January 9th in a hotel room in Orlando. Immediately after his passing, fans were speculating on how he passed. After some investigation, it was reported that there was no foul play or use of substances, that he most likely just passed away of a heart attack or stroke. But the autopsy has just come back, and we know that he actually died of blunt force trauma to the head, a much different story than what was said before. The night before he died, Saget did a show at a concert hall in Jacksonville, Florida. Then he was found unresponsive in his room at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando, quote, in a face-upward position on his bed, according to a police report. Police are now saying a fall could be the reason, but other experts are claiming the force used is similar to that of a baseball bat, raising even more questions. As of now, Seiget's family is blocking the release of any records pertaining to the case over privacy issues, so it seems we may never know what really happened to cause his death. And at number 9, Naya Rivera. Naya Rivera, best known from the show Glee, shocked the world when it was reported that she had gone missing in a lake in July of 2020. She was out on a boat with her young son, and after many hours on the water, the boat returned with only her son on it. Her child was found asleep on the vessel by a boater that afternoon, alongside Rivera's purse, wallet, and ID, but Naya was nowhere to be found. After searching the lake for days, her body was discovered. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department announced on July 13th that they had recovered her body following an extensive search and recovery effort. Since then, her death has been ruled an accident, but for many fans, the whole thing just seems too strange to be true, and unfortunately we will never know the full story of what happened on the boat that day. And at number 8, Michael Jackson. The king of pop died suddenly at the age of 50 after suffering a cardiac arrest in June of 2009, but there's been so much mystery around his death, it went from being ruled an OD to a homicide. He was found unresponsive in his home, and it was determined that he ingested too much of a substance. After investigation, his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, was charged with manslaughter, with the courts arguing he prescribed Jackson much more than was needed, and his prescription caused his death. The years after his passing, allegations of inappropriate conduct from former friends of Jackson's came to light. And ever since, fans have been trying to figure out what really happened between Jackson and the kids he would spend time with at his home. The secrets of what truly happened will now never be uncovered. And at number 7, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is known for a lot of things, specifically being one of the founding fathers of the USA, but it seems he was not always faithful to his wife, and he had a mysterious son with another woman. The son, named William Franklin, was clear he was the son of Franklin's, but notoriously mysterious over who his mother was. Some suspect he was born before Ben married Deborah Reed, making him illegitimate. Another theory is that he cheated on his wife with a mistress who ended up getting pregnant. William was involved with his father's business and even became noteworthy in his own right for helping his father in his famous kite experiment. He eventually settled in England to distance himself from the family, and when he passed, he never revealed who his mother was. And at number 6, Kurt Cobain. Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain tragically passed away at the age of 27 in 1994 and is a member of the infamous 27 Club. Law enforcement determined that Cobain took his own life, but there was a lot of inconsistencies in his case that led many to speculate that's not actually how he died. A book was even written blaming the whole thing on Cobain's wife, Courtney Love. The book claims that he died of an OD before being shot by Love. A private detective who was hired determined that Love even tried to pay someone to have them kill Cobain for her. This man claimed he was offered $50,000 and even passed a polygraph proving it. Although Love was never officially charged, she is guilty in the court of public opinion, and many fans are convinced she is responsible, but only Cobain knows the truth. And at number 5, Ludwig van Beethoven. On his deathbed, Beethoven wrote a love letter to the love of his life, although he didn't address it to anyone, so we have no idea who this woman was. When he died in 1827, a letter was left to the Germans' immortal beloved. It was later determined that he wrote the letter years before in 1812. Scholars have tried to speculate who his beloved could be, but there is no clear answer. The most likely choice seems to be Antoine Bertinato. She was close with him, mainly because she was actually married to a good friend of his. Others proposed Josephine Countess von Brunswick as the most likely candidate because he had written her love letters in the past. It was speculated that since she was poor and of low social standing, he was not allowed to be open about his true feelings for her. Since he never told anyone, only he knows the answer. And at number 4, the Black Dahlia. The Black Dahlia is one of the most infamous cases in LA history. On January 15th of 1947, 22-year-old Elizabeth Short's body was found dead in a vacant lot near a park in LA. The state of her body was the most concerning. Her body was cut in half and all the blood was drained from it. Her body was also perfectly clean, so no evidence was able to be collected from it. There was only one witness that was any help to police. The person claimed they saw a black sedan parked in the area the night before. Since her passing, there have been tons of theories about how or why it happened. And even though so much time has passed, nobody has ever been charged for the crime. Today, the Black Dahlia case remains one of the oldest cold case files in LA, as well as the city's most famous. And at number 3, Prince. Prince is one of the most legendary singers of all time, who made a huge impact on the industry, but his shocking death left many with unanswered questions, and many fans are still convinced we don't know the full story. On April 21st of 2016, he was found unresponsive in an elevator at the Paisley Park studio. Initially, the police marked it as an accident because when he passed away, he had many substances in his system. No charges were filed against anyone,
even though many Prince's fans do not believe he would have done this. Years later, there is still no definitive answers, specifically no idea how he got these substances and how he was able to ingest so much. According to sources that knew him very well, he didn't use any of these substances and had no intentions to start. Because there's still so many unanswered questions, the case remains open. And at number 2, George Reeves. In 1959, actor George Reeves was killed under very mysterious circumstances. He made a name for himself playing Superman in the 1950s TV show Adventures of Superman, but his career was cut short after he was killed. At the age of 45, he was killed by a shot to the head. The strange death was then labeled as him taking his own life, but many fans do not believe this could be the case. It was rumored that he was intentionally killed or the death was completely accidental. To add even more strangeness, the death happened while Reeves was with 3 other people, including his fiancée. But even though all those people most likely witnessed what actually happened, none of them ever told. And finally, at number 1, Nicole Brown Simpson. One of the most talked about cases of all time is the case of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Their death started the case of O.J. Simpson that would become the trial of the century. Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were killed outside Simpson's Redwood, California condo in 1994. After some investigation, it was clear that O.J., her ex-husband, was the prime suspect. His DNA had been found at the crime scene, and witnesses saw him leaving the scene of the crime that night. After an intense and highly publicized trial, he was found not guilty, and with no other suspects considered, the person responsible is still out there. Although many people are convinced that O.J. is the person who did it, and lucky circumstances are the real reason he got off. He was later found guilty of committing the act in a civil lawsuit done by Ron Goldman's family, but because of O.J.'s financial troubles, he has not paid this debt. Years later, O.J. went to prison for robbery and is now out free.